Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo.
Apply today and become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And be sure to add our podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application.
Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch bison's ass so hard that the next bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers, episode 279. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man? Well,
it's been a little bit. We took a little week hiatus because things got a little crazy.
Life gets in the way sometimes.
That's right. You know?
AKA our 9 to 5 or sometimes 9 to 9 jobs.
Yep. Sometimes you got to put in the work, man. That's what it means to be an adult, or one of the things it means to be an adult.
Well, you know what? If that's what it means to be an adult, I want to go back to being a kid. Come on, I want to go back to opening up the Super Nintendo for Christmas. That's what I mean.
Yeah. It was a good time. Good time.
Well, happy 4th. How was your 4th weekend?
It was good. I went to the birthplace of our independence, Philadelphia. I got an invite to come down to my friend's place, which is super nice, by the way, because it's they live in a converted church. So
wait, what? They live in a converted church? They live
in a converted church. Yeah. It's got it's got the big cathedral style like windows, right, that go like super high with the arch and tall vaulted ceilings. Did they renovate it themselves, or they bought it that way? Like it's a rental.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a rental property, but it's got like the little spires, and it's got the 2 on each side. It's super cool. It's a really nice place. But it was a 4th of July weekend to celebrate the 4th, obviously, and also my friend just got citizenship, so she's now a full-blooded American.
Nice.
She was here previously on like the work visa and all that stuff, and it takes like 10 years at least of being here before you can even apply, I think. So she went through all that stuff. She was super happy. She said, "Let's have the most American party ever," and she wanted people to dress up in costume. I saw
that. I was like, I was like, why is Dave dressing up for 4th of July? You're just going all in on the costume.
Going ham on the Abe Lincoln. That's right. You can check the Instagram. I had everything. I had the stovepipe hat. I had the full-on outfit with the slacks and the suspenders and the nice little vest.
I thought you would have pulled an Office and went Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin.
That would have been cool. You would have had like, you put the thing on your head so you look like you're bald, right?
Yeah, the little like ball cap with the hair down the sides. Yeah. Trust me. That idea was in the hopper, but
okay.
But I thought, you know what?
I naturally could do it because I'm bald.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. You would just need to get the side hair.
Yeah.
I think you'd look good. I think you look good as a black Ben Franklin.
A black Ben Franklin.
Mhm.
In Philly, as a side note, Philly, I love going to Philly, and everything
Philly's
is
great.
like Ben Franklin this, Ben Franklin Hospital, Ben Franklin Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
I hope his descendants is making bank on this, man, because because
You would think, right?
if you're Dave Franklin, you're like the great grandson. I'm trying to make some money off.
I don't think naming rights, at least for like streets, really nets you any money. I think it's
I know,
more
but
out of respect
the
and reverence.
Ben Franklin Hospital, right? Like it's either Ben Franklin or Jefferson. It's like Franklin this or Jefferson this in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it's funny. I looked up the Abe Lincoln family tree just to see, like, does he still have any descendants kicking around? And the answer is no. They all died.
Wow.
All right. Mary Todd died, and they had like 4 kids, I think, overall, and they all ended up dying. Fairly young, I think. They kind of came down with a bunch of stuff. So that immediate family tree just kind of died off with the kids, I think. But
oh wow. Well,
yeah.
okay. Well, just to put a wrap on Philly. Please tell me you had a cheesesteak before you left.
I had 2
from Luke's.
We didn't go to Luke's. We went
Luke's
to
is the best. At me, I don't care what you say. Luke's is the best.
We went to a really good place. Yeah, it was a little bit over from where they were in South Philly.
Jim's. Jim's
What's that?
is good too. Jim's is good too.
I can tell you right now. I think I checked in on the Foursquare, so I may have that handy. I'm gonna take a look. Yes, I still use Foursquare.
I'm still
use
confused.
Foursquare.
You still use Who uses Foursquare? I haven't heard that in like a decade.
Me.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
You check in and it notifies no one. It notifies you.
That's fine. You know what's actually awesome about it is that it gives me a world map of all the places I've checked into. So I can see, oh, yeah, when I was in Japan, I went to all these places. When I was in France and Germany, I went to all these places because they're all in there.
The app still works? I'm surprised the app works.
Swarm is still popular, man. Swarm is still popular. I forget. I'm going to have to come back and figure that out. Maybe I'll throw that down in the show notes, what the actual name of the place is, because it was fantastic. It was a nice cheesesteak. And yes, I know you're asking, is it provolone or whiz? I went with the whiz, extra whiz, with the peppers, all right, with the onions.
I'm provolone all the way. Okay?
Provolone's good. Provolone's good, but
I'm
I gotta keep it 100. I gotta go with the whiz, all right?
Yeah, not a fan of the whiz.
Not a fan of the whiz. Oh, listen. I asked them to whiz all over that sandwich, and they came through. And it was delicious. It was good.
No, okay. I'm not a whiz fan. I'm all provolone.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a wedding.
Yeah.
The wedding was beautiful. They had to have the wedding that 4th of July weekend because they were supposed to get married the year before.
Right.
And they couldn't, obviously, for obvious reasons. They did get married officially. They went to City Hall and got married last year. So this was sort of like the wedding ceremony and reception that they didn't have last year. Because they couldn't get the deposit back on the venue. So
right. Well, I'm glad they honored it. They weren't out that amount of money, right? They were able to like kind of kick it down the road.
It still kind of sucked because it rained and it kind of rained out, so they had to do it indoors. So I don't know if they get a refund, a partial refund, because they had a lot of weddings that day, and the big wedding areas were all taken up, and they had the outdoor area, which they couldn't do because it got rained on, and we had to do it sort of like in where they had the cocktail area. They had to have it there. So that's not what they signed up for. So I hope they got like a partial refund at that, right? Because all our chairs were super close to each other. I mean, there was no social distancing.
I mean, you're at a wedding. I mean, come on, it's going to be hard to do that, right?
Well, they tell you
have a dance floor. You got to have an.
Well, they tell you. Well, no. It was that part. The reception part was in a separate area, but it's sort of like the open, like the bar was. I sat next to the bar because it was.
It's not bad, You just turn around and go, "Hey, can I get two?"
I sat next to the bar, but I'm just, I hope they got a partial refund. It was still beautiful. It was still, a great experience. I'm happy for them.
I saw the pictures. You looked official, man. I gotta say, you're looking good.
Thank you. But I gotta say, I don't know if this is a gamer grief per se, but I am super angry at Amazon.
Oh boy. Lay it down, Dan. Lay it down.
I'm just saying.
Lay it down. This is an open forum, right? This is
the last 6 months. For the last 6 months, at least 5 times, Amazon has delivered it to my neighbor across the street.
Wow.
Okay.
They're getting up to Booker T levels.
Yeah. 5 times. Yeah. Messing up the address, messing up my delivery. They delivered it across the street. Okay. So I live, I'm not going to say my address, but I live like, -02, and they keep delivering it at -03.
Oh, that's across
so
the street.
Annoying.
Yeah.
And I can see the delivery guy because you have the tracking on your Amazon app. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm next. And I see the truck across the street. And then I see the truck go off. And then I get the delivery. It's been delivered notification. So super annoyed at that. Super angry. We delayed this recording so I could call Amazon and complain. Okay,
give him hell, man. Give him hell.
I did, and they said they were going to reprimand. I didn't even ask for reprimand. They said they were going to reprimand the driver.
Okay, we'll see if that resolves the issue. Hopefully it does, but
all right,
hot damn.
All right, well, let's get this show on the road, Dave. We have an awesome show this week. It's compact with 2 weeks, 2 weeks
That's right.
of stories. We're going to talk about the new Switch Pro. Or is it the new Switch Pro was announced? We do have a new Switch coming. And then we're going to talk about the state of play that just happened a couple of days ago. But let's begin with, we may be getting a new Vin Diesel Riddick game, right? So Vin Diesel did an interview with Games Radar to promote the Fast and Furious 9 movie. And he did confirm that, they're sort of in the script phase for the new Riddick movie that's going to happen. And he wants there to be a component to where there's a video game that's tied in to the movie, but sort of like an extra, he imagines it would be an adventure space game with an extra chapter, right? So it would sort of be like, it's a movie tie-in with more content that, obviously is not in the movie.
Right. And that's the way to do it, I think. I think a lot of these video game movie tie-ins suffer from adhering to the plot to a T. Sometimes the technology isn't there to be able to, kind of bring the scene to life in like video game form. I'm looking at you, Super Nintendo Genesis games, right? They had to be action scenes. Maybe there was a driving scene if you were lucky. So they're getting better at that, but also like it's weird. Sometimes the movie script doesn't translate, and the beats don't work out. So to add new stuff in there that's video game centric, I think that makes sense.
Well, let me ask you this. We, you watch any like YouTuber talk about collecting retro games. It's always been like the fun thing to dump on was. Movie tying video games back,
Sure.
even all the way back to the NES era, right?
Yeah.
It's always like movie tying game. This game sucked, right? LGN got the license for the movie, and the game sucked.
Yeah. Back to the Future, no good.
Yeah. So,
no good.
When was the last time we got a movie tying game? Like that's been so long. I feel like that's taboo nowadays. I think it has to be like the Wii era. It was the last time we got like a movie tying game.
Yeah, it just kind of faded by the wayside. There were some Marvel games, I think. Yeah, right? Yeah, there was definitely some Marvel games.
Iron Man, right? Like that came out with the movie.
They made a couple, yeah. There was other ones like Iron Man VR, which was just kind of its own thing. But yeah, there was an Iron Man 2 game that definitely tied into the movie, which was okay. Wow.
We got a new Avatar game that's coming out, but that has nothing to do with the movies, right? But the original, I think, was a movie tie-in game.
Yeah. So full disclosure, you asked me about this ahead of time, and I really had to think about it a little bit. I was like, what was the last game? And luckily,
not mobile.
Right.
Because I'm sure there's 1,000 mobile games that are tie-ins.
Yeah. And those are like quick cash grab tie-ins or whatever, right? There's probably thousands of those. I'm sure there's one for every game because you can just make a match 3 or whatever based off that, and that doesn't really count. So I looked it up, and they don't do it in chronological order. They do it in alphabetical order. But thankfully, the last one in the list, which is a Z game, I believe is the last movie game tie-in, which is Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip.
That sounds like a mobile game. That was a console game?
Yeah, it came out for PC, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation.
Wow.
And after looking it up, it's like, oh yeah, I do remember kind of seeing that around. Both the movie and also the video game tie-in. But I don't know if it counts because it takes place between the events of 1 and 2.
No, then it doesn't count. Count.
It doesn't follow the movie plot.
Yes, it has to follow the actual movie plot of whatever movie it's tied into.
Mm-hmm.
Not like in this case what Vin Diesel's talking about, like it's an extra chapter to the movie, right?
Right. So there was that. Do you remember the Rambo game that came out?
Yes.
Okay.
That was like a on-rail shooter. I was gonna get it, but then
it was an on-rail shooter. I believe it was in the arcade too, or they made an arcade variant at least. And it follows the story beats of Rambo First Blood, I guess, and or just First Blood, and then Rambo First Blood Part 2, and then Rambo 3. So,
oh wow, okay.
If you want to count that, it's following the trilogy of the movies that came out in 2014, which was well after the movies, but it does follow the plot. It is a movie tie-in, so much after the fact. So maybe that's the last one. Yeah,
that counts.
Okay. So there you go. Okay. There you go.
That was the last one.
And we didn't see any movie tie-ins for any of the Christopher Nolan, any of his like latest movies. I know we had that like Batman Begins in like 2005, but I don't know if they did one for The Dark Knight, and I'm pretty sure they didn't do one for the last game.
They did not do it for The Dark Knight because at that point, they had the Batman Arkham games ready to go,
and they were far superior.
Yes.
Far superior, right?
If anything, I would.
You get any Marvel games like recently that were tied into the movies?
If anything, right? I don't want a movie game tie-in. I want a video game movie tie-in. I want the movie to follow the video game. I want the Batman movie to follow the Arkham games.
Right. You want that Nathan Drake Uncharted movie that's coming out, right?
Yes. I don't. Sully. I don't know if I like the casting.
Come on. You know that Wahlberg was going to play Nathan Drake, but it took so long that he aged into the mentor role of Sully.
He did. No, he did not age. Sully is gray hair, okay?
I mean, look. We would all
he's playing I think he's playing a younger Sully, right? Because Tom Holland's playing Nathan Drake.
Look. We would all want a what's his name from the Ocean's 11?
Who?
Danny Ocean, the head guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Yes.
Right?
George Clooney.
Yes. We would all want the distinguished George Clooney with the white hair running around. Like, he would bring some gravitas to the role, for sure. But I feel like he may be a little bit too old,
No, I think he's just into making coffee commercials. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. He's right, bigger than espresso. He's also got his tequila line, too.
That's true. Everyone has tequila. The Rock has tequila, too. I like Terramana. Not bad.
I haven't had either yet.
Not bad. Well, okay. Well, let me switch the question up on you. What do you think is the best movie tie-in game?
Oh, I mean, it begins and ends with GoldenEye. There is no other answer. That's literally the GoldenEye
standard.
It's the GoldenEye standard.
All right, the 3 best movie tie-in games, I would say GoldenEye is number 1, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Okay.
2, because that was a good game. That was an underrated game. And The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The movie sucked, but I think the game, I like the game.
Okay.
And I even did it as a Saturday morning retro, I think. One of the early episodes that we did.
Okay.
So I really like that game.
Yeah, I mean, I liked some of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man games. Spider-Man 2, I think, was great. Because you could get to the You could get to the top of the Empire State Building and like perch up there. I think there was even an achievement for it. And then you can kind of like look around and see the whole city. It was really
honest,
good.
After playing Marvel Spider-Man from Insomniac and Miles Morales, it's so hard to go play an old Spider-Man game. It's hard.
Yeah, but Spider-Man 2 was really good. Yeah. Okay. The new one kind of blew it out of the water. So
okay,
I'm with you on that.
Well, as we wait for EA Play, that's going to be later in the month. I mean, we just had a state of play that was sort of a state of play mini. We'll talk about that later. I'm kind of disappointed that EA pretty much said that they're working on a new Dragon Age game. We know they're working on a new Mass Effect game, but they won't be at EA Play. So that means
not ready for prime time yet.
That means it's far off. Like it's nowhere near ready. So, is it a detriment to even announce that you're working on these games like so early in development, right? Like, because every E3 for the last 3 E3s or the last 2 E3s, everyone's disappointed when they don't see a Metroid Prime 4. Anything about Metroid Prime 4. Everyone's just super disappointed. And they're going to be disappointed until we actually get it, which could be another 2 years, right? 2-3 years. Sure.
And that's a really good question, right? And I'm going to bring up 2 examples. I'm going to bring up an example where it worked out well and an example where it worked out terribly. And I'm going to say Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar. Right, that got pushed a little bit. It got delayed a little bit because of the scope. I think is really the reason behind it. Right, they really had high ambitions. It was 8 years in production. Right, I mean they basically started right after the first one. They said, okay, numbers were good. They're like, all right, let's start storyboarding part 2. Or they did the general story beats. They kind of high level what would we do with this game, and then maybe a year or 2 later, they started actually doing production on it, right? And that turned out amazing, right? But that was because Rockstar's Rockstar and they made it happen, right?
You know why?
Why?
Because they're rock stars.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the name. I would give you a counter example, which would be Cyberpunk 2077.
I knew you were gonna say Cyberpunk.
I mean, I think it's the best example, and it's the most newest example of here's what happens when you get people hype, and then you have to live up to that hype, and I don't want to cast shade on CD Projekt Red or say anything about anything, but it certainly puts burden on you. It puts a certain level of pressure because everyone's hype about it, and every time somebody mentions Metroid or Cyberpunk or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, that game looks great. And you go back and you watch all the media that was put out about it, and you listen to people talk about it, and you get a hype for it again. And then the game comes out, and if it's not exactly what you thought or wanted it to be, it's a failure. So I would say yes, it is a detriment to come out so early and say, hey, we're working on this thing, and you ride the wave. Right, you get the media cycle. Everyone's talking about it, and like, all right, this is
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky as well. As well. Although I have to say, Hello Smile, right? Hello Smile. Smile Games. Hello Games fixed that game, 100%. They added VR support.
It took a couple of years. It took a couple of years.
It did.
So same thing for Cyberpunk, right? Like 5 years from now, we're going to say, but CD Projekt Red fix that game.
Yeah. I mean, they've consistently been putting out patches and kind of beefing that game up. So yeah.
Okay. So Dave, as we always try to start the show, but epically fail.
Oh,
what have you been playing?
Oh, I've been waiting for this, Dan. I didn't know if we were going to do it this episode, but here we are. And I gotta say, I've been going back, playing some old games that I put down for a little bit. So, Doom Eternal.
Okay.
Started playing Doom Eternal again. I beat the thing that I was stuck at. I killed the Marauder, which is great.
Yeah, so you were stuck on that for a while.
I know.
On that board for a while.
And you know where I'm at now? I'm stuck fighting another Marauder. Because
Okay.
those guys are the worst. You have
Oh man,
to
tell me
be-
how you really feel. Go Gamer Grief. Tell me how you really feel.
Here's the problem with the Marauders, and I've heard people defend it. I know a lot of people hate it.
It's undefendable.
Well, you have to be, right? So, and it even says in the description of the monster, if you're too far away, he'll start throwing projectiles at you. And if you try and hit him from a distance, he'll throw his shield up, and you can't get around the shield. No weapon will work. If you get way too close, he'll start meleeing you, all right? And somewhere in between there, he'll start throwing his dogs at you, his, like, cyber demon dog or whatever, right? Which is like a projection that comes out and that chases you while he's also trying to attack you, which is a bitch. So you have to be in that perfect mid-range, not too far, not too close, and you have to wait for the opening. So what he'll do is he'll like put his shield down, he'll glow with like a green tint, and that's your like window to hit him. And then you can hit him, and if you're lucky, you'll hit him and stun him. You can get a few shots in, and then he goes right back to it, and you got to be in that middle ground sweet spot. Oh, my God. It's terrible. Terrible. I don't like it. I don't like it. It slows down the game. It's very hard to make progress, right? Because everything's just like, go, go, go. And this one, you have to, like, play four-dimensional chess.
You hear that? You hear that Xbox? No, it's an Xbox game now.
That's
so
right.
You hear that Xbox?
That's right.
All right. Yeah. Doom 3. Fix that. Fix the Marauders.
Yes. So,
All
sorry.
Right. Finally, Dave has a gamer grief about Xbox.
I wanted a little bit
finally
of
objective. Finally objective.
I got a gamer grief with Doom Eternal specifically and the Marauder, but sure, it's an Xbox grief. I will, yeah. I will admit that as evidence into the court. So I picked up the Mass Effect trilogy, so I'm playing that on the Series X. Looks really good.
Are you going in order? You Mass Effect 1?
Oh yeah, you gotta start from the beginning, man. I made my Shepherd. Right. I'm gonna take him through to the end. I'll probably be done with it in like 2022, and that'll be that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. So this is one of those wait for a sale for me.
I think
I'll pick
during
it up
the holidays,
Christmas.
yeah. During the holidays, you'll see like maybe 15
half
to
price.
Yeah, 15 to half price or whatever. Also playing Virtua Fighter 5 online, which is awesome because it's free. You can just if you have PlayStation Plus, you just get it.
You still have your membership?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I know that I still have my membership because I had to re-up it because a couple of my friends wanted to play Knockout City. So I tried that out, which is the new kind of dodgeball-esque kind of game from EA.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's like a
people are saying they really like it. Like it's a good game. Like
it is.
It's not a game for me personally, but
right, because it's all online. It's typically it's 3v3, so it's your squad of 3 versus your opponent's squad of 3, and you end up trying to nail people with dodgeballs, right? And there's like mutators, so you'll get one regular ball and then you'll get one special ball per level. And it kind of randomizes which one that is. There's a handful of levels. They're all kind of interesting. It's kind of got a little bit of like a Jet Set Radio aesthetic vibe, which
that's why you like it. That's why you want to play.
It's part of it.
Okay.
It's part of it. But I mean,
sense.
like
I can
the
see you doing that.
the gameplay is strong. So I highly recommend it if people are looking to try it. It's not free though. I thought it was free to play, but it's not. It's gonna cost you $15 to play. But I'm having a good time with it. Time with it. And finally, based on your recommendations, you got to play this game. I downloaded the Scarlet Nexus demo, which is free, and I love it, Dan. I was in from the beginning. I was in.
All right. Well, I'm playing Scarlet. Well, I'm playing Scarlet Nexus.
The full version.
I'm playing it. Yeah, the full version. I'm playing it on PS5, even though I know Xbox has the marketing for it.
Yeah,
but it reminded me so much of Astral Chain that it, / Persona 5, right?
Yep.
And it legit is Astral Chain meets Persona 5. So I had to check it out. It is definitely a Japanese style, game, but I love having the telekinesis powers where I can control stuff and throw stuff. It's like I want to say Persona 5 meets Astral Chain meets Star Wars.
Yeah.
using the Force.
Yeah.
And you have the different Force abilities because you can just throw it, or you can wind it up, and you can have the car wind up behind you to throw it for a harder for like sort of a hard attack, right? Compared to like a soft attack, just throwing it. So I'm really enjoying the game. The story, not so much. The Astral Train story was a little bit more my jam. I kind of really enjoyed that. The Persona 5 story, I think we talked about it, especially early on when we first started the show. Totally weird. Totally didn't make any sense. Wasn't really engaged in the story. Same thing here. Not that engaged in the story. I'm sort of lost a little bit, but the thing that I don't like about the game is that you have to bond with people. I have to have conversations.
That's
on the phone.
the Japanese thing you're talking about, right?
Yes. When you get to the hub world, which is like the living room, it's like a living room area, you have to bond with the other cadets and talk to them on the phone and try to figure out things. And that part I am not about. It just takes away from the gameplay, takes away from the combat. I just want to go into the next mission. That's all I want to do. Which I will say, Astral Chain game you should pick up for the Switch. It is a Switch exclusive. I think Nintendo owns the IP, even though Platinum made the game. They do a better job of not having to, yes, every mission you go back to the police station because you are a cop,
right?
But you have to bond with your monster, right? The guy, the monster that's on the Astral Chain. You don't really bond with like other people, and it's more story based. So Astral Chain did a better job of it. Scarlet Nexus is just like riddled with it. But the good thing is that the interesting thing is they have two story paths where you picked either the female or the male, and they have two different stories. So
yeah. I went with the girl for the demo. They gave you the option there too. I was like, why not? Why not? I always end up playing as the dude. And she's awesome, man. She's got the telekinesis. And I like that you can, like, I did the tutorial too, just to see like how the concepts they introduce to you and how you can kind of do stuff. And it's cool that you can do like the combo strings and then use your special power to bring in like, say like a giant rock that's over there and then bring that into the combo. And then continue the combo, right? You can kind of shorten the distance and then get up and then do, XXX or XYY, shoot him in the air and then like, bring in something else to continue the combo. Like that's awesome. So
I will say
those mechanics are on point.
I will say, and this is all I'm going to say. Throwing a whole train is so satisfying.
Yeah. Not many games let you do that, right?
Yeah, picking up the whole train and just like throwing it is like super satisfying. Let's put it that way. So I've been playing that mostly,
Nice.
And then I've been on the Switch. I've been playing Super Mario Galaxy.
Taking it back, the OG. Yeah.
The OG.
So you're playing the enhanced version, right? In the 3D World pack.
Yes.
Okay.
I never, the Wii sort of era, I sort of skipped that, right?
It passed you by? Yeah.
It kind of passed me by. I was, I played Mario Kart, but, I was more on the DS than the actual Wii back then, you know? So the Mario Galaxy games I didn't play at all until recently. It's okay.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. It's okay.
It's okay. Wow, a game that people regard as like one of the best, possibly the best.
I don't know.
Super Mario 3D games.
I don't know why. I'll be honest. I don't see it.
Wow.
I don't see it, and I'm not even using motion controls, which you had to use
back in the day, and people didn't like. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Interesting.
It's okay. It's no Mario Odyssey. It's no
Super
Mario World.
No, you're right about that. Odyssey, I think. Starting from 64, Odyssey is the penultimate version of 64.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna make people angry.
Yeah, go. Okay. We'll go ahead, Dan. It wouldn't be the first time we've done that on our Rated G.
I prefer Sunshine over Galaxy.
Okay. I'm actually a big fan of Sunshine. A lot of people throw it a lot of shade. Funny enough, they don't give it its sunshine, like they should.
I prefer Mario Sunshine and Galaxy.
Yeah. I'm actually with you on that. I'm with you on that. But I still think Galaxy is amazing.
I got a little lost with the hub world. I hate hub worlds. I'm like, well, where do I need to go to next? It was a little lost on that.
Right.
And then I didn't realize.
Well, they changed that in 2.
Okay, I didn't know that. Oh well, didn't
they made it more because you use like the ship to get around, so you just go from level to level.
Okay.
And then you just okay, I need this many stars to continue. I can go back and get the missing stars, and then it unlocks the next thing, and then boom. Yeah, so it's super streamlined.
And I didn't realize, like, after I beat a level and got the star, I didn't realize I can go back because there are 2 more.
Yep.
There are like 2 more stars. And there's 3 stars for each level. Didn't realize that because I was like, where do I need to go next? This is so confusing. It's not telling me where. And then throwing the stars, where you collect those little stars all around the world and you throw the stars.
Oh, the
Lumens.
Like,
what is this?
Yeah.
What is this for? This is useless. Like, I was like, this is totally useless. I kept throwing it by accident.
Oh yeah, you need to use the star bits to feed the Lumas that open up, I think, the different jump pads to go to different places.
So it was so weird. I was totally forcing myself to keep playing. And when you force yourself, you're not really in the game.
Yeah. No, so, I agree. I
prefer Sunshine over this. I gotta say. Don't know if I'm gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna complete this, but I will try Super Mario Galaxy 2 when it eventually comes to Nintendo Online because I'm not using motion control.
It's probably gonna be a little while, but yeah.
All right. On that note, why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're gonna get into the top gaming news of the last 2 weeks.
Hey, this is Matt Adler, freelance journalist for IGN, and you're listening to Rated G for Gamers podcast.
And we're back. Let's get into the top gaming news of the last 2 weeks. All right. We have to start with our lead story. We got what we all have been promised, the new Nintendo Switch Pro. No.
Not quite the Pro.
Not quite. We did get a new Nintendo Switch. We got the new Nintendo Switch OLED, as they're calling it, right? So they stealth dropped this pretty much like on Twitter, right, and on a YouTube.
Yep.
It's going to be a larger screen, so 7-inch OLED screen.
Right. Versus I think 6.2 or 6.3 on the OG one. Yeah. And
if you've played the OG Vita, then you'll know what type of screen it is because the OG Vita had an OLED screen compared to the Slim Vita that came out later on, which took the OLED screen out and made it cheaper. It's a new wider kickstand, enhanced audio through the new built-in speakers, as a new slim dock with a LAN port, right? And now you can get a white dock or a black dock. I definitely want the white one. It's doubled the storage. It's 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and this is going to be a whopping $349.99, releasing the same day as Metroid Dread, October 8th.
So that makes sense.
What do you think?
That makes sense. You pair it up with the new game that's coming out, right? Maybe there's even a special bundle. Hopefully there's a Metroid theme bundle, which would be awesome.
Well, Nintendo likes to drop their hardware with like a major game, right? We got it. We got obviously the OG Switch was dropped with Zelda, right? Then we got the Switch Lite that dropped with Zelda.
Yeah, again. And now they're like, no, we're going to go ahead and do Metroid this time.
And then we're going to do Metroid. So
yeah. I mean, I have to say, so I think it's important to note that the internals, besides the built-in storage, right, the 64 gigs of memory, everything remains the same from a processing power standpoint, right? It's the same ARM chip. Right, it's the same Tegra graphics and all that, so we're not getting anything new there. No extra, clock speed on the CPU, No extra RAM in there to kind of help support newer games, right? There's no DLSS support, which everyone was kind of gunning for, because that really would have kind of helped them get to the 4K visuals and really kind of do a lot of things with AI upsampling as opposed to just raw power, because it's a very tiny case. So we didn't get any of that. I think that's kind of important to say. Out of the stuff we did get, the only thing that excites me, to be honest, is the OLED screen. Everything else,
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Like the 64 gigs of internal storage, yeah, great. But, I mean, you can buy a cell phone now, and the base model has at least 128 gigs. All right? So it's not anything crazy.
I have so many micro SD cards for the Switch.
Right.
I don't even care about the 64 gigs.
You can get a 400 gigabyte SSD card for like $60 to $80 now, I think.
Yeah.
Right? It's nothing. Storage isn't really that expensive, you know? The enhanced kickstand, sure, but I never use it. It's either handheld mode, it's mostly handheld mode, or I put it in the dock. So,
well,
you know.
I want to say Game Explain sort of, summed it up perfectly. If you wanted to get a dongle for Ethernet for the OG Switch at this point, the OG Switch dock, you wanted to get a better stand, right, for the Switch. And it was something else like, and if you wanted to hit it to 64 gigabytes of storage, you're getting another micro SD card. That'll cost you $55 comparatively, right? So here you're getting all of those things and an OLED screen, which is expensive, for $50. So it sort of evens out, right? It's sort of, you're getting your bang for your buck. I understand what you're saying. It's upgrade in power, but it's still, comparatively sort of a good bargain.
Well, okay. I see what they're saying, right? For all this stuff, parts and labor and cost, and to put it all together would be about $55, right? But think about this though, right? If the internals are exactly the same, and it's using the chips and the whatever and everything from 2017 or 2015 or 16 when they started R&Ding it, right? You have to expect the cost of those parts would go down. So, because it's like 4.5 years since the original. And you're saying that, well, at $300 plus all of this new stuff, right? But I would have to suspect that the production cost of all that stuff has gone down a little bit or a lot.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying. I guess
because they have the Switch Lite at 200, right? Sure, they had to cut some corners and whatnot, but they managed to get it at 200.
Joy-Cons is one of the biggest things they cut from that, right?
Right. And the screen is, I think, a little bit smaller, and it doesn't fit in the dock because of that.
Think of it this way: for the memory, the dongle, and the kickstand, right? For a better stand, it's $55 itself, right? So that's sort of the difference in the price. I'm sure production costs have gone down, which makes up for the extra cost for the OLED screen, right?
I mean, that's the thing. It's all about the OLED screen. You can't convince me that any of this other stuff is going to get people out of their seats to go, ooh, I want it. It's the OLED screen. So,
it is the OLED screen altogether,
which is cool. I'm very happy about. It's going to be very nice, very inky blacks.
They didn't say this. And I don't know. We haven't got the full specs. At least as of this recording, I haven't seen the full specs of the machine. And I hope this is a part of it, because this is what I've been asking for since day one. Bluetooth. I want to be able to pair with some Bluetooth headphones to this. I mean, this is a portable system, right? The whole point is not to be tethered to something, not to be tethered to your TV, so you can take it portably. I want to pair some wireless headphones.
You are 100% right. That is, I think, the number 2 feature that everybody wanted. Beyond the upgraded internals is the Bluetooth support. You're right. Why did they not have it? I don't know. They certainly should. Should have had it from the beginning. Instead of hooking up a giant squid dongle thing to enable voice chat support, for which, no. none
Well,
of that.
did you see? I don't know if you peeped this in the sort of the commercial style video that they put out on YouTube to promote this.
Mm-hmm.
When he was playing, I guess he was playing on the TV. The guy, the actor was playing it on the TV, and I guess they were trying to promote the Ethernet connector going into the dock.
Right.
He had his phone on the table on speakerphone, I guess, and it had like the Nintendo app on it, and I guess that's supposed to be him talking to his friends playing Splatoon on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still got to use the app to do multiplayer.
Yep.
Oh,
it's terrible. It's terrible. The hoops that they jump through to make their system kid friendly and whatever, and then the additional hoops that they have to jump through to enable voice support for some games is insane. Yeah.
It makes no sense. I feel like no one's talking about that because everyone is just so mad it's not the Switch Pro.
Yeah.
Right?
I did not see that. But sadly, because they didn't announce it in this presentation, I will bet you money it's not going to be a feature, because that's something that people want, and they would totally say Bluetooth support as a thing. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for both our sakes.
I think that would be. I'm hoping that Nintendo is just like, oh yeah, it has Bluetooth. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Right. So yeah, no, we got that. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
We can only hope
like that.
Yeah.
So I'm getting this day one.
Oh, I mean, of
with
course,
Metroid.
we're both getting this.
I'm getting this with Metroid. I mean, oh my god, that bill is going to be $350 plus the $60 for Metroid Dread plus the amiibos. I'm paying like $500 here. Day one. I'm going to the Nintendo store because the pre-orders are sold out. And as a matter of fact, well, no, not pre-orders. Rewind, not pre-orders for the system because that's not even up yet. Pre-orders for the Metroid. Oh, and I'm getting the Metroid Dread Special Edition. I want the Special Edition.
Of course. Same.
I want the Special Edition. So I'm gonna have to go to the city that day. I'm gonna have to skip out on work and go to the city since I'm working from home. Oh yeah, I forgot to announce that I'm officially working from home forever or indefinitely.
Nice. Love it.
Just like you.
I mean,
but now I'm gonna have to go to the city. Because the Nintendo store is the only place I'm going to be able to buy this. It's going to be sold out everywhere. As soon as pre-orders go live, it's going to be sold out.
Oh yeah.
And I can imagine the line outside to buy this, the Nintendo store.
Block.
Yeah.
Around the block for sure.
Around the block, but they usually have enough stock, and I hope this is still the case. In the past, I'm going off of past experience. Whenever the Switch Lite and Zelda and Amiibo, I went on my lunch break, right? Which was like around like noon. I went early too. I left like quarter to noon just to go to the Nintendo store. And it had full stock. I got it with no problem. It wasn't like I got the last one or anything. So I'm hoping this is the same way. So, all right. Let's shift focus. And let's talk about Sony's State of Play. It's the first State of Play since, I don't know when, since earlier in the year. I was hoping this would have been the big E3 State of Play.
Nope.
It was the equivalent of a Direct Mini, all right? Because
it was pretty weak.
I'm going to call it a State of Play Mini. That's what I'm going to call this, because that's what this was.
Yeah, you can call it you can call it what you want. I'm going to call it weak. It was a little weak. There were some gems in there, but if
I'm gonna call it mini.
If they came out around the time of E3 with everything else, yeah, people would. Nintendo and Microsoft still won the day.
I see why they waited like 2 weeks after E3 to put this out.
Oh yeah.
Because if they were to put it out during E3 time, people would have been like, "This sucks," right? This would have been up there with most disappointing sort of E3-ish showings.
And not to say we didn't get exciting stuff, because I think we did, but it was a lot of stuff we kind of knew about already. It was kind of in-depth or stuff we saw at last E3, just reiterating, hey, we're working on it. It's coming out. Got some release dates, yada, yada, yada.
Well, all right. Well, I don't want to talk about every single game because I had a lot of indie games in this showcase. So I don't want to talk about every single game, but I'm gonna come up with some highlights. So they started the show off with Moss Book 2, which was the original Moss game. Was a PSVR game. I liked it. It was okay. A lot of people liked it. It was the killer app for some people, not me per se, but I did like Moss.
And they're making this is also PSVR, right? The sequel?
This is for the original PSVR. This is not for PSVR 2, at least for now.
PSVR 2 isn't even really announced. They just said, "Hey, we're working on it."
Well, it is. It was
in production.
They announced that they are working on a PSVR 2.
Yeah,
they called it that too.
I would be very surprised if they announced the game coming out for the new PSVR 2 before they had a reveal of the PSVR 2 with a price point and like a launch date.
This kind of tells me that they are nowhere near putting out a PSVR 2. Like,
I mean, earliest it's going to be next E3. They would even announce it.
I don't even think that, because if that's the case,
it may not be.
If that's the case, then just hold this, and make this a launch game for the PSVR 2, right? PSVR 2 with Moss Book 2, that would make sense. PSVR 2 is nowhere near coming out. That's what this tells me.
To be honest, like, they must have had Moss Book 2 in production for a while, because what's the last VR game you remember coming out?
I'll be honest, to me, it was, I used it when it first came out, and then it had that super dust on it, and that super dust.
I know you're definitely not a fan because you don't like all the wires and all that, but they're really not.
You would have you could tell me better when's the last VR game that came out. I mean,
I want to say, like, I don't know, Iron Man VR.
That was last year.
Exactly. But nobody's making VR games because, I mean, yes, it's compatible with the PS5, but it's kind of a pain to set up, and you still have all the wires, and, they're not really promoting PSVR as a huge thing anymore because they want everybody to buy the PS5, want everybody to upgrade, and they want everybody to buy Part 2, which is coming out at some point in time. So everyone's kind of shifting over to that.
Well, this is. I would say this game is coming out probably next year, right? Like there was no, it's in production. We saw some gameplay. I would say this is maybe something that's maybe coming out next year that they want to maybe keep trying to sell some more units of the original model, right?
I mean, they're out there. You can get them.
And then PSVR 2 is going to be sort of around the mid generation, right? I would say 2024, 2025. Sure. I think it's far out. I don't think it's anywhere near. Because if PSVR 2 was 2022 or 2023, just keep Moss Book 2 on ice until it comes out and make it a launch game, since everybody really loved it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously the hardcore VR fans are going to be like, yes, there's new content. I'm going to go ahead and play this. I think you're right. It was a weird announcement. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm super hyped for it. So, I'm definitely going to pick this up and play it. And
so I know a next game that I know you were all about. That was Sifu, right? What was it called?
Sifu. Yeah, so Sifu, not new. We heard about this last year at last E3, I believe on the Sony stage. It's the Kung Fu fighting game where I believe the conceit is every time you die, you get a year older. So your character visually grows older. I don't know.
I guess it gets a little bit slower, right? Like you're not going to jump over a table as fast as you would if you were a little bit younger.
I would assume there's some gameplay element to go along with just the visual change in your appearance, right? The last time I remember them doing that in a game is in Fable. Every time you upgraded your character to another level,
one of the best franchises of all time.
I'm not getting into that, but I'm just saying every time you kind of gained a level, you would grow a year older. So you'd start getting like gray hair, and your face would get like the wrinkles on it and all that, which I thought was a nice touch. I thought it was kind of cool. I hope there's some sort of gameplay element that goes along with this, like you said, like you get older, so maybe you get wiser, so you learn new moves, but then you move a little bit slower. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't
know. Did we get a release on? I don't think we got a release. I think they said 2022.
I think it's coming out in 2022.
Yeah.
But the conceit is at some point you just die. Like you get so old, you just die, and you have to start, and then that's your way of starting all over again.
Right.
Right.
So you get X amount of lives, right? You probably start off when you're 21 or whatever it is, and you can maybe go up to like 99. Hopefully.
I don't think you get that many lives.
I mean, I don't know.
That many lives.
It's only like 70 some odd lives.
I don't think you get that many lives. I don't think they're going to give you that many tries.
I hope so.
Then we got Lost Judgment, right? The sequel to Judgment. We knew about this. This wasn't anything new, but it's coming out September 24th. So, that's a game that's like Yakuza, and I think Yakuza is going the route of maybe turn-based, while this will be sort of their action-adventure style game. And they could see you're in court, and you're telling your story to the judge, and that's sort of the flashback of the gameplay. So that looks super cool. I played a little bit of the first one, but I didn't get really into it because something else caught my attention. And I know we did a trade, so you have Judgment, the original Judgment for the PS4.
That's right. I still have yet to play it. Should really pop. So
the sequel is cross-gen. It's coming out for PS4 and PS5. So I would say pick up the original Judgment, play that first, and then get into this. I think it does tie in somewhat. Then we got what I think should have ended the show, because I'm all about presentation, and I am fair, Dave. I'm fair. So I accused Microsoft of this. This is why I put the Nintendo E3 show over the Xbox show slightly, just because of presentation. And I'm gonna be fair and say Sony dropped the ball presentation wise. This is what they should have ended it with, right? And they showed Death Stranding director's cut.
They did.
We got a release date. We knew this was going to come in the state of play. It's coming out the same day as Lost Judgment, so I got to pick both of them up at the same time, and that is September 24th.
Yep.
But we got so many more details.
Well, we got details. Period.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Right.
That's true. Now I knew I figured you would be excited because you were all about this. This was our game of the year.
I love this
2019.
Game, I love this game, and it's everything I expected and one thing I didn't expect. Right? They're gonna have new story mode missions, right?
I told you that. I did tell you that.
New weapons. I mean, that's all table stakes, right? New enhanced combat mechanics, right? I believe it's gonna have like a PS5 upgrade bump, right? Which makes sense. The one thing that was surprising was the racing. They have tracks that you can race around, which I think is super cool. So you can take vehicles. I'm assuming there's going to be some online head-to-head component.
Or we're going to have to build these tracks from scratch.
I mean, maybe. I'm sure they'll have some sort of track builder, or you can at least customize them in a way. So I'm super hype about all of that. Now we didn't get, and you were very certain that we're going to get some sort of Metal Gear style
missions.
Sneak missions.
We will. Well, I still think we will. They didn't They didn't say what the new mission story elements will be.
That's true. They didn't. There is still a chance that we can get sneak missions. So maybe that'll happen. I think that would be kind of cool if they did do that.
I'm happy that I got better upgraded weapons now. They put in it. Well, at least to me,
and the melee combat too. Yeah.
Yeah, they emphasize combat. And not just delivering the package like Amazon delivers my packages to my neighbor across the street and not to me, right? Because
Dan Robinson bringing it back. There it is. It's a callback from the beginning of the show. Very nice.
Because Aliens, hits the Amazon truck and then that's why he doesn't have the melee weapons because he doesn't have the director's cut.
There was all right. There was a lot of combat in the original, right? Again. Once you start getting into the game world and they start giving you weapons, like when you go into those enemy encampments, you are fighting like a beast. You better have weapons on you. You better be able to do the melee combat. But I'm glad they're enhancing it. I'm glad they're adding some kind of new moves and improving everything. So
okay.
Are you going to get back into it? You're going to get back into it now, right?
I'll give it the college try.
You're going to give it a try. All right.
I'll definitely give it a try.
Nice.
I definitely like those robotic legs that were running that held the packages for you.
Yeah.
I think Amazon needs to invest in that.
They did have those in the original, but you could just send them out to do like kind of some of the simpler missions after a while. But now you can like sit on the back of it. Super cool.
And then they ended it with an extended gameplay of Deathloop.
Yep.
That's coming out September 14th. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've played this game already. I've seen so many trailers.
I know. Well, it's supposed to be out last November, I think, right? Or last December.
Yes, it was supposed to be a launch game,
Right.
exclusive for the PS5.
And it got pushed, right? Deathloop, famously made by Arcane Studios, now owned by Microsoft, so it'll be the last Arcane Studios game to be on a PlayStation console.
It looks just like Dishonored, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a multiplayer Dishonored game. I like the fact that they, like this was more of a stealth game, but in this gameplay, it was stealthy, but they had more like action where you can just go in and people, they're chasing you, right? Mm-hmm. I want to know one thing. I don't know if, I don't know if this was said or announced on another show or another trailer, but there's voice acting in this, right? Because you hear the guy talking, you hear the person that's chasing you talking. Is that like in the game? Does the person call me and say, "Hey, I'm going to find you, I'm going to kill you"? And you get to hear, you hear water in the background, or you hear like a chime in the background, so you sort of indicates where they are, maybe.
Oh yeah, it could be. That would be awesome. Because I mean, you're a fan of Bond movies, right? I love Bond movies. They always love to do the exposition and kind of, grandstand and all that. I can only imagine that they would have that in the game. It wasn't just part of the kind of sizzle reel or the gameplay trailer.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you got voice acting in this. That would be awesome if they call you or somehow, some way you intercept, some type of conversation with the person that's trying to kill you.
Well, they definitely did show off the kind of espionage, kind of sneak hacking, where you can like kind of put out the little beacon or whatever, and you can overhear what people's conversations are to kind of gain some intel. So they definitely have some of that stuff in the game, which I kind of thought was pretty cool. And everything looks like slick. It's this like 1970s kind of aesthetic. I think a lot of orange in the game, a lot of browns and reds. So I like it from that standpoint. I like the different things you can do to different ways you can kind of attack each scenario. Right, there's like 7 or 8 evil people that you have to take down. Right, this kind of cabal that are all kind of working together, and they all have their own themes. So
okay,
yeah, it's cool.
I'm about it. I just no more trailers.
More trailers.
Show me the box art and let's buy the game. And let's be done with it.
Yeah.
So let's stick with Sony. This would have been our lead story if we would actually had a chance to do the other show. But Sony's getting in the game just like Microsoft and acquiring studios.
Finally.
Okay? So they've acquired Housemarque. The developer of great games like Returnal, a game that you have to play. I can't wait for you to play that game. That is a Davey game.
As soon as I get my PS5, is the first game I'm going to buy.
And Resogun, right? Like Resogun, which I hope this means we're going to get a physical copy of Resogun. Maybe like a collection of all their older games, right? Remastered for
awesome.
PS5, and it's all in a physical disc. That's what I want as a collector. So now Housemarque is now a first party studio, which is going to be great. They also picked up Nixxes, right? I think that's what it's called, Nixxes. They are a PC port studio. So I believe they ported the Death Stranding game. I could be wrong on that. I know they ported one of the Sony's first party games. I
was going to ask about that because I wasn't really too sure of the company.
Well, they're a PC port company. So this just shows that Sony is looking towards the future and porting more of their first party games to PC. Right. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, it is a sort of a horse race with Microsoft since all of their games are going to be on Games Pass, which is going to be on, PC or console because Microsoft is going that route. And Days Gone just came out on PC and did great. You know, I mean, more and more companies are looking to put it out on PC. I mean, I think Persona 5 was just released on Steam and sold like over 1 million copies, right? And it's like, oh wow, thank you. So I didn't even know Persona 5 wasn't a PC game. I would assume everything. I assume everything now is on PC, right? Except for Nintendo games, obviously.
Right. So wow. So Nix's goes back, man. They go all the way back to Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver.
Yes.
They did the port from PlayStation to Dreamcast, and they did all of the Legacy of Kain games.
By the way, there was a big rumor out there that we're gonna get a remake of Legacy of Kain. So maybe that's in the works as well.
It's a possibility because that kind of screams. I think we talked about this off camera, but you said that Legacy of Kain kind of feels like a PlayStation game.
Yeah, I know it was on Xbox. There was the OG Legacy of Kain was on the OG Xbox. I know Legacy of Kain 2 Soul Reaver was on the Dreamcast, and I have that for the Dreamcast. It came out for PlayStation and the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, they even had the OG one, Blood Omen, was on I think Saturn and PlayStation, as well as the PC. But yeah, so they've kind of been around a little bit, but I think PlayStation is really what I think of when I think of Legacy of Kain.
But then there was a rumor that they also were buying Blue Point Games, the also another port studio. It was more than a rumor. Actually, Sony tweeted out a graphic that said, "Welcome to the family with Blue Point in Dark Souls or Demon Souls." Sorry, Demon Souls remastered in the graphic, and they quickly took that down. So Blue Point has now said that they're not being bought by Sony and they're staying independent. Don't know if talks maybe broke down and that was sort of they were trying to buy him and talks just sort of broke down. But I think this is still happening. Personally, I think Sony, they're not going for the big shiny big purchases like Microsoft, and you understand why Microsoft is doing that. They have Games Pass. They need to buy studios that have a lot of IP so they could fill Games Pass up with lots of games. I mean,
it's like the Netflix model, right? You got to get a lot of content on there, and then eventually Netflix said, we're going to do this in-house and we're going to do a bunch of stuff. So Microsoft has bought a bunch of studios and said, okay, now you're part of the family. Let's go, right?
Where Sony has done more, smaller sort of games to pad out the portfolio. I mean, smaller studios they bought, and they buy in studios that sort of already make games for PlayStation, right? Like Insomniac, they just purchased. It's like keeping them internal.
Yeah.
Sort of
well, they're like, why are we not getting a piece of this pie? Right? Everybody loves these games. They're almost exclusive. It's like fish in a barrel, right? It's like, hey, here's a bunch of money. Come be a part of our team. Who at Insomniac is going to say no to that, right? And I think it's good. Like Ratchet and Clank is PlayStation, right? Crash Bandicoot is PlayStation, right? And I think Housemarque is PlayStation, right?
Well,
Blue Point
Unfortunately, Crash Bandicoot's no longer PlayStation. It's Activision.
I know it's under Activision now, sadly, but
Yeah, that would have been a good get though if they would they could have gotten that IP and it's just Crash Bandicoot, exclusive. Spiral, and it would have been all exclusive. I'm just waiting for the next Jack and Daxter.
One can only dream.
It is only PlayStation 2, by the way.
That's right. Yeah.
So. Let's move on to a studio that Sony was rumored to be buying a couple of years ago, and that is Remedy, right? I think maybe like 2 years ago, before Control came out, there was like a rumor that Sony was looking to buy Remedy because Alan Wake, the IP, actually went back to Remedy, so they own Remedy, and there were rumblings that they were trying to put it out on PlayStation and that maybe Sony was trying to buy them, and I was all for it, right? I was all for that because Quantum Break, I think, is still owned by Microsoft. I could be wrong about that. I like Quantum Break a lot.
I know. If there's one game that Dan Robinson will defend to the end, it's Quantum Break.
Quantum Break, I thought it was great.
The most average game.
It was the most. It was the best game on the original Xbox One around that time. I'm sorry.
The original Xbox. Wow, it was original Xbox. Wait a minute. No, you said original Xbox One. The beta
Yeah.
machine, yes.
The beta machine. It was the
Yeah.
best game to play on that.
I
love
mean-
the story elements.
I mean, it's the best game that also has a TV component tie-in.
The only game that's
That's what I mean. It's the best.
So it looks like Remedy they just announced a Control multiplayer spin-off game. That's in early development, so it's not going to be out for a while. I'm not into this at all, personally.
Well, yeah. When they say multiplayer, Dan Robinson, no. You like that single player experience.
I like that single player experience, but I can understand this. This is again, force powers, right? Controlling stuff telepathically.
You're a Jedi. Who doesn't
so
want to
this
be
is-
a Jedi?
So this is Star Wars. This is a multiplayer Star Wars game. Hopefully they'll make it better than EA.
I mean, yeah. Hopefully they don't have microtransactions where you have to grind to get their equivalent of Darth Vader.
No, you just have to pay $100 for it, right? Because
Oh, there you go.
there you go.
Oh,
This game isn't for me, but I'm happy that people are excited for it, and I just hope that this doesn't interfere with Control 2 or Alan Wake 2 or Quantum Break 2.
oh boy. I think one of those you shouldn't be betting on.
All right. Well, I don't know if Microsoft still owns the rights to Quantum Break. I hope not. Well, actually, I do hope so, because Microsoft would sort of greenlight it if they make it multiplayer.
They're usually
But-
pretty good about that. Yeah.
But it looks like Microsoft is greenlighting a new game, and the internet is on fire. I mean, angry over this. And that is, Sony fans are angry because it looks like Microsoft is getting into a deal with Kojima for Kojima's next game. Now,
I don't
Microsoft.
know. Well, go ahead.
Well, Microsoft and Kojima have signed a letter of intent, which honestly means nothing. It's just an intent
Yeah.
to do something.
Yeah.
It's not an official contract, but to publish his next game. So and Sony fans are really upset about this.
Well, as far as I understand it, right, the rumor is that Kojima wants to put a new game out, right?
He pitched the game to Sony.
Right. They pitched it to Sony. Sony said no for whatever reason, right? And right there, that's on Sony. So, they had to talk. They tried to negotiate. They said, hey, look at how great Death Stranding is. Here's my idea for the next game. And Sony says, nah. So right then and there, Sony fans can't be mad because Sony said no. Be mad at Sony, don't be mad at Kojima. All right? Kojima just wants to put his game out, right? So Microsoft probably hears about it, swoops in and says, hey, let's have a meeting, pitch your game, and we'll see. And Microsoft's like, yep. So
I want to say, let's just go to rumor mill on this. The rumor, to me, I think he is making a horror game. That is what everybody sort of speculated, that that he wants to make a new horror game, and Sony is already putting the money in for a Silent Hill game. This is the worst kept secret. I'm saying this is true. I'm going off the premise that this is true.
right. Yeah. I'll follow you on this premise.
Yeah. So Sony doesn't want to put a lot of money in because when you deal with Kojima, you're gonna have to put a lot of money in, right?
Oh
Which
yeah,
is a
because
whole-
he's got big ideas.
He got big ideas, and it looks and maybe Sony just doesn't want to flip the bill for another horror game because again, horror games are a niche, right? Ask Microsoft now and Bethesda. How many games did the Evil Within 1 and 2 sell?
How many copies? Yeah.
Yeah, how many copies?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Resident Evil. Resident Evil, a horror-ish game, right? Well, when it first started, turned more action-based, right? Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, even Resident Evil 8, because Resident Evil 7 was more horror-based.
It was more like 1, yeah.
Yeah, and then they listened to the fans and changed it and made it a little bit more actiony in Resident Evil 8. So
much like Resident Evil 4 or 5, yeah, they kind of turned the dial in the other direction.
And look at Outlast, right? Outlast 1 and 2, right? That came and it went.
Yeah.
It came and then it went. So horror games don't do great. they don't really do great. They don't really sell as well as other, more action style games. And Kojima, if he's going in horror, he's going in all the way.
That's right. You're gonna get some fucked up nurse demons and a giant dude with a polygon head, right, running around coming after you, and it's gonna have this weird subtext about your family life and all that, right? Like, he's gonna go deep, and it's gonna fucking freak the people out, right? Even if you're into it, it's like you're gonna get disturbed by the end of it and have to take a cold shower.
Yeah,
because that's what he does. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's it. But I don't know. I think Sony's been one. I mean, there's a lot of weird games that are on PlayStation, especially in Japan. Like, I don't know. Maybe their new leadership has been like, nah, we want more games that have a global appeal, right? Games that'll kind of work across the board. So
that's true.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Right. But I'm excited. I feel like this is going to move forward. Right. I feel like the wheels are in motion, and maybe a couple of years before we get to see this game. But I want to play it. I want to play it.
Well, it's just another game that's coming out on Games Pass, right?
That's right.
And Microsoft would be the one to publish it on the Sony platform too. To get their money, to get some of their money back. It's not a first party title.
Right.
They're not buying Kojima Productions.
Right.
So
right.
But let's stick with Microsoft. Sort of go on a story that is super weird and screwed up. It looks like bananas. A Microsoft engineer stole $10 million by selling Xbox gift cards for Bitcoin.
Yep. So apparently,
that is bananas.
Well, okay, well not like apparently. Like, what they do is they'll like authorize gift cards to use for testing purposes, right? So you can kind of test the system out, and you put in the code and the whatever. And I guess they're valid. They're like valid, and they have monetary value on there, so you can kind of test the system out. But their code is meant to like filter all the stuff out, so it doesn't actually go anywhere. There's no real like money exchange, but like there is money on the card, and it all kind of gets worked out in the end, and that's that. But apparently there was some weird loophole in there where like this guy was able to like authorize these cards for testing purposes and then somehow cash them out into Bitcoin, right? Do the whole transfer of the whatever. And he's like, oh, they don't know about this whatsoever. I'm the only engineer who realizes this, right? So I'm gonna not bring this up the flagpole and say, hey, we have a problem, we need to fix this thing. And I'm just gonna silently take a bunch of gift cards to the tune of 10 million and just get Bitcoin out of it.
I hope he's in Costa Rica right now, because that is,
well,
I'm sure he's already been arrested, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
I hope he knew. Listen, well,
he's going to prison.
I don't hope, but if you're going to do something like that, you got to think they can trace this. Maybe I should go live in Costa Rica now, because there's no extradition in Costa Rica.
See, that's
according to every action movie I've seen on Sci-Fi Channel.
Right. You got to get in and get out, but that's the problem: is when do you get out? Right? It's just like buying a stock, right? It keeps going up. You're like, well, why would I get out now? And then one day it drops, and you go, oh yeah, I should have got out. That's what this guy should have done. He should have got out early, but you can't. Because you're like, oh, the greed just takes you over, and you become Tony Montana, and you have a mound of cocaine in front of you, and you go, you know what? I'm just going to do it all. It's going to be fine.
Well, I never thought we would ever reference cocaine on our video game show.
I mean,
it's a first. It's
the temptation of, well, I've been doing it for so long. Obviously, they don't know. It's so deep in the system, and how are they ever going to find out, right? There's so much red tape and loopholes that you have to jump through to even figure out all this stuff, but eventually they do, right? Eventually somebody else comes through and goes, hey, there's an issue, let's investigate, and it all comes back to this dude, so. Yeah.
Well, speaking about getting out, our last news story, it looks like Netflix is getting out of the DS, the Nintendo 3DS, and the Wii U, because they're ending, or as of this recording now, they have ended their services on those platforms.
Oh.
So rest in peace. Rest in peace.
I didn't know they were still on those 3DS platforms.
On the Wii U.
Wow. Okay.
As of June 30th, they ended the service.
For all two people using your Wii U to watch Netflix.
that is not true. Listen,
I feel for you. I'm sorry. I will pray for your loss.
every year it comes out that the most watched Pornhub is on 3DS.
What?
3DS.
The highest device
Out of all the consoles.
Oh, out of all the
It's
consoles. Well, sure.
like 3DS
Consoles. Because
yeah.
it's
It's like 2 million people watch Pornhub on 3DS. I'm
yeah,
sure they
and all
watch
of those,
Netflix too.
all of those people are. Well, I don't necessarily want to say that, but I mean, look, man, you got to do what you got to do. I don't know why you would use your 3DS. Your cell phone is just as capable, if not more. But
They
again,
wanted to use the 3D. They wanted to use the 3D part.
Listen.
That
Porn has
makes sense.
well, maybe, yeah. Porn has ulterior motives. All right, porn is not Netflix. You can watch Netflix anywhere. You can technically watch porn anywhere. I don't know why you would use.
You can watch it on your phone too. I mean,
exactly. I don't know why you would use a 3D. That is the thing that gets me. Everybody has a cell phone, which is more than capable. Actually, more capable than your 3DS to watch this stuff. Right? 3DS is lower resolution. 3DS is bulky, is big. It's got a weird ass charger on there. Right? Your nice cell phone, even if it's like a 4-year-old iPhone or whatever it is, has a much better screen, right? It's got the OLED in there. It's got the beautiful visuals. You can take it wherever you want. Fits in your pocket. Super discreet.
3D version, man. You want it to look real. You want it to pop out at you.
If that's yeah, I guess you could turn up the 3D thing and whatever, but I don't know if that effect is really going to be worth it, if it even works. But what about the Wii U? Like, come on. Yeah, for all the two people watching
You can watch it on your gamepad. You can watch it on your gamepad.
Yeah, I could just watch it on my cell phone. Much more discreet.
Well, you don't have the big. It's not big, right? Come on.
Oh yeah, that's what I want in my watching device. I want extra bulk.
Yeah, so you can hold it up. It has a kickstand. It can stand on its own on your stomach as you eat you're eating chips. You can watch Netflix. Come on.
I will say
creative. You're not creative.
I will say this. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but I got the Wii U kiosk. Speaking of the Wii U, I got the Wii U kiosk a couple years ago. I did mention that. It's right over there. You can't see it. It's off camera, and it didn't come with the TV because they were like literally chopping it up when I came in there, and I almost cried. I said, no, wait, I'll take it. But it didn't have the screen, so I had to get a replacement screen. So I bought a 32-inch LG TV, and surprisingly, I didn't actually hook it up to the system yet and put it in there. But I used it as like a TV upstairs for a little while, and it actually has Netflix. It has a smart. It's a smart TV. It has apps, and this was like I don't know, 2011, 2012 TV maybe. It had smart apps. It had Netflix on there.
Okay.
And I did have to update it like 7 times, literally. And
makes sense.
After all the updates, I was able to use Netflix on it, which was insane. So it works. Netflix went through the trouble to make sure that, it still worked on the system. Now, was the interface the same as my modern TV? Not at all. But it worked. I was impressed. So Netflix definitely goes the distance. They make sure it works across the board. I'm certain they looked at the numbers and said, hey, nobody's using 3DS or Wii U anymore. And
well, they took it down from the store like in December, I think of like not even last year, the year before, right? But if you already had it, it still worked. And
right.
now it's just not going to work at all now.
So there you go. They gave you time to, or they gave it time to sunset, right? And then they're like, all right. And they canceled it. Again, for all 2 of you who are using the Wii U for Netflix, my condolences.
2 out of the 2 million watching Pornhub. Okay.
I mean,
got it.
Yeah.
All right. And that ends the news.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, you got any good weekend plans?
I'm going to play some video games. That is my weekend plans, because the last couple weekends have been traveling around, going from state to state. So ain't doing anything this weekend, but turning on my damn Xbox and my PlayStation and my PC and beating some video games.
Okay. I'm just going to try to figure out what game I want to use for the Saturday morning retro show. So I'm going to sort of go through the backlog.
Oh.
Start a couple of games, see what piques my interest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I'm gonna go to the PS3 route.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
I got a good one coming up. Everyone's gonna love it. Taking it back to an OG
Super
classic.
Mario World 3.
It's an OG classic. Nah,
No?
come on now. I can't. What am I gonna say about the best game of all time, Dan?
Wait,
the graphics and sound are
what are you gonna
amazing.
talk about what are you gonna talk about the best game of all time? You mean Super Mario World? I just said you would play Super Mario Bros.
I mean,
3.
Super Mario World is good, but it's no
The best game
Mario
of all
3.
time.
Like,
Best
what am
game
I
of all
gonna
time.
say that people are gonna be like, oh, I didn't know that about that?
I mean, you know, Super Mario Bros.
No.
3 is no Super Mario Galaxy,
That's fish in the barrel.
you know.
That's fish in the barrel.
but Super Mario, you know,
This
that's all I'm
this
saying.
guy. That's 2D, 3D, man. That's completely different.
Yeah, it's still
2D,
you know,
completely
Galaxy.
different. You gotta do apples to apples. 3D games get judged with the other. 3D games.
No. They're all fruit. All
right.
okay?
Well, Mario 3 is gonna dominate.
Apples to bananas. They're all fruit. I'm just
all right.
saying.
Well, Mario 3 is gonna dominate.
Super Mario
across
World.
the
Super
board.
Mario World is going to dominate on all of them. So go
Mm-hmm.
ahead. And that's the show.
There you go. There you go. Dan Robinson taking it to his grave. Mario World better than Mario 3. You will never hear him say otherwise. And if that day comes, you owe me a Lamborghini.
If I owe you,
I'm stating it now.
No, I'll never say that.
Well, all right.
If I ever say that, then you know aliens exist and they took over my body.
Maybe. But we'll have it on record. I'll have no way to prove otherwise. All right. With that said, that is episode 279 in the books, folks. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show, liking, commenting, and doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
Keep gaming.